What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Dev from War Room Sports. I'd like to welcome you guys to listen to episode number 263 of the War Room. In this episode, B. Austin is still over in Africa, and Jimmy was out looking for El Capo, so I'm joined by Frank Santos of the Sports Kings to steer this bird. So sit back, relax, listen to us talk about everything that's happening in the NBA Summer League, Des Bryant and Demaryius Thomas getting their money, Pete Rose being honored at the MLB All-Star Game, and a whole lot more. So just sit back, relax. Episode 263 of the War Room starts right now.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. Give it to you how you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sorta like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerate to speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
My bad. Frank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, my bad. Had a little difficulty right there, but what's good, everybody out there in War Room Sports Nation? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on that WRS Podcast Network. I'm Dev, and I'm at the round table as usual, but B. Austin is still on the mother continent, and Jimmy, I think he out there looking for El Capo, El Chapo, whatever his name is. He looking for him. So I'm here with my brother Frank Santos of the Sports Kings. What's going on, Frank?
Not too much, Dev. Happy to be on. I heard a rumor. I think Jimmy's actually down in Los Angeles. He's trying to file paperwork to change from a Clippers fan, change from a Lakers fan to a Clippers fan. I think he's officially given up.
He's trying to bail on Jim Buss.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to try to confirm that for you guys sometime in the next 2 hours. But, look, man, we've crept into that portion of the summer where baseball is the only thing really popping. So we'll talk briefly about that, the All-Star festivities this past week, and you guys know we'll find plenty of other things to talk about in the world of sports. So keep it locked right here, and if you want to get in on the live conversation, join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 30 minutes and give us your thoughts on any of today's topics when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Look, we are rolling today without a producer, so your calls won't be screened. I think, some of the regulars, I know your numbers when they come up on the switchboard, so we got you. Everybody else, we're going to be answering calls blind, so we'll just, call out the area code that you're calling from so you know that you're on the air. But before we get started, make sure you guys remember to make the War Room Sports Podcast Network a part of your daily routine. When the War Room isn't on the air, visit warroomsports.com, click on the WRS Podcast Network tab, or listen on the War Room Sports mobile app or on iTunes. In addition to the War Room, you'll find archived episodes of some of the best shows the web has to offer, such as the Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review with the Mayor, the Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Phil and Savad, Sports Trap Radio with Brandon and Anthony, the Mad Scientist Sports Lab with Nick Ficarelli, and a whole lot more. You can also check the listings over at fatsradio.com. That's PHATZ, radio.com for airtimes of all your favorite WRSP and sports shows, including our show, The War Room, which airs over there a few times a week. What up? It's time to go. Like I said, we're not really sure if Jimmy's out looking for El Capo or if he's in L.A. trying to change his membership. He's trying to hand in his Laker card because things are getting bad over there. But, Frank, what's going on, man? How's your week been?
Good. Just on the grind, right? That's the theory of the show, right?
No doubt.
I missed a lot, so I got to catch up.
No doubt. Everybody is always on the grind. There's a lot going on in the world of sports, even though, like I said, it is that time of year when baseball is the only thing that's officially popping. I mean, we got Summer League basketball. We got or we just finished with the Women's World Cup and things like that. But baseball is the only of the major four that is basically in season right now. But the
just
news
trying to be nice.
cycle
What he's trying to say is this is the worst time to be a sports fan. This is what you're really saying here.
I want baseball fans to be too upset, but yeah, pretty much.
They know. They know the deal. They know what's up.
Yeah, but it's always something to talk about though, because the news cycle never stops. I think a lot of the leagues these days do a great job of making sure they keep themselves in the news cycle. So when baseball's going on, they know baseball doesn't have the viewership that the rest of them have, so they just basically bogart baseball with news stories that really don't mean anything in the larger scheme. But it's whatever.
I definitely agree.
Like Frank said, oh yeah, go ahead. My bad.
I heard like a couple months ago that the NBA was thinking about either lengthening the end of the season or shortening it. That way the off season would start like the second week of July, because that was the only week. That was like the only open week in which no sports were going on, so they like monopolize. It was like the 1 week of the year that they can try and monopolize, so they can be like the only thing in the news. So it's crazy. You're right though. Everything's year round now.
Well, it's crazy because Mark Cuban, he's trying to lobby to the league to expand the playoffs. So it's all a possibility. But look, like Frank said, man, this is about what happens when everybody's on the grind. So we're going to talk about what happened this week while you guys were out on the grind. And while y'all are on the grind, is brought to you as usual by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including the NFL Sunday Ticket, go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, then you got to have DirecTV. Ironically, the first thing we're going to talk about is related to DirecTV and the NFL Sunday Ticket. There's a bar in San Francisco, I think it's called the Ninth Inning, and they are suing the NFL and DirecTV because they're saying that the DirecTV's exclusive right to broadcast the NFL games through the Sunday Ticket is an illegal monopoly that raises costs for bars and restaurants. They're basically filing a lawsuit, and they're trying to make it go the class action route so they can, maybe get a little bit of money for themselves and other bars and restaurants that are affected by this. It was filed in federal court in California, and it challenges DirecTV's deal with the NFL for the NFL Sunday Ticket. And if you guys have NFL Sunday Ticket, through DirecTV, or if you're just familiar with it, then you know that this has been an exclusive thing with the NFL and DirecTV since, I believe, 2000, maybe 1999. I thought, Frank, on many occasions that the exclusivity of this was going to be challenged in a broader manner. I didn't know. I had no idea that it would last this long. But as far as what this restaurant is claiming, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, anybody that has, I won't name any companies, but anybody that has any cable or satellite TV knows that it's basically the biggest ruse to begin with. I mean, you pay astronomical prices for it to begin with, even as a customer. But what a lot of people don't realize is bars and restaurants pay astronomically more because of it goes by how many people you can seat in the restaurant. So it goes according to your maximum occupancy. I think they're going to have, on a serious note, I think they're going to have a hard time. In the lawsuit, it says basically they're trying to prove that they have to basically have DirecTV and the Sunday Ticket in order to run their business. But I think that's a hard sell because I think you can easily bring up other bars that don't televise football games that are successful. They may not be as successful. I understand the angle that they're going for, but I think you're going to have a hard time proving that you must have the Sunday Ticket in order to basically prosper as a business, because I think there's plenty of examples where people don't. Regardless, I think it's good PR for the bar that's doing.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean,
because everybody, you go to San Francisco, you're going to look for the ninth inning. I mean, because even if you go there and the food's not popping, at least that they have the football games on.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they're complaining about it. But
you'll just
to
have
your
people
point,
walk in and be like, "Oh, you're the dudes that sued the NFL."
Exactly. So take a photo with me. But to your point though, you're right about the whole occupancy thing, because it says a bar or restaurant with a fire code occupancy between 51 and 100 people will pay a little more than $2,300 for Sunday Ticket in 2015. Now, like you said, I've had Sunday Ticket myself since 2000, and when every other cable company comes knocking on my door, and I tell them, well, I have DirecTV and I'm not switching no matter what you say, the first thing they say to me is, oh, NFL fan, huh? Like, they know.
Right.
Like, everybody else knows. And I've been in bars as well, like sports bars and restaurants on Sundays during the football season, and I can attest that it seems like, I mean, of course, if you have football showing on the TV on a Sunday, your business is going to go up astronomically from earlier in the week. But I also agree with you, Frank, in saying it's going to be a hard sell to say that your business is going to depend on it. So I don't know if they're going to win this, but like you said,
I'll tell you who's rooting for them, though. All the other cable companies that don't have NFL Sunday Ticket. Every company that gives you cable channels aside from DirecTV is rooting for the ninth inning bar in San Francisco.
But the funny thing is, if they do win, they probably still won't lose their exclusivity. They're probably just going to lower the price a little bit. That thing is, I mean, it's astronomical just for the fans, though. Like, you're talking about what a restaurant is paying. The individual fan pays a lot for Sunday Ticket as well. And for me, it's worth it, because football is one of those sports that, even if I'm not watching my team, I can still watch a bunch of other games. That's a little harder
football
for me.
Football is really one of the only
baseball.
sports like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm really with the NBA,
I'd
so I
say,
can watch a team besides my team, but...
Right. I can say NBA, but NBA for me, it's not the same as it used to be. Like, I used to sit and watch League Pass back in, from 99 throughout the early 2000s. I could sit every night and just watch random games on League Pass. Now, I think League Pass is one of my worst investments as a human being.
Over it. I love League Pass.
Man, NBA basketball on a random Tuesday night, man, it's terrible. But
I don't know.
I get it every year.
I'm a hoop head. I'll watch
the
Bucks. I'll watch the Bucks and the Sixers play an 82-81 game. I don't care. It's ball. I'm watching.
I was good. I'm done it. That's how I used to be, but now it just doesn't seem as exciting to me. Like, I try. I'm like, because I don't want to waste my money, so I'm going to turn to these channels, and then.
Yeah, you're right though about the NFL. You can watch any NFL team play. I watch, like the Jaguars and the Dolphins. You're like, yeah, sure,
right.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, because for me, it's like as much as you sit and wait for your team to play every week. Football is that sport where I don't mind the bye week, because on bye weeks or, on a week when my team is playing either on Sunday night, Monday night, when they're not on the regular Sunday Ticket lineup, I could just turn to the I forgot, I think it's called the Game Mix channel. I call it Organized Chaos because it's like 8 games on your screen at one time. I just turn to that channel and watch everything, and I just put the sound on whichever game is looking the most exciting at the moment. So, yeah,
and it's got to be like that for most fans. It's got to be like that for most fans. Otherwise, you would think the Sunday Ticket sales would deplenish a little bit, because they have so many national games on now. You have 2 1:00 games, and you have the national 4:25 game, and then you have the Sunday night and the Monday night. And those are all usually the best games of the week. So, I mean, the only games that people really are watching on the Sunday Ticket are either, a guy that lives in California and is an Eagles fan, so he needs it for that purpose, or just people like you're saying that are just going to watch whatever the best game is on, like the closest game. Or obviously there's gambling implications if you have money on a certain team, but, we don't get into that illegal activity.
Well, that was my original rationale, not the gambling. I'm not talking about the gambling. I'm talking about being a fan of a team but living in a different region. So, when I wanted to keep up with the Eagles games, I had the Sunday Ticket. But where I live, I probably still see 5 to 7 Eagles games per year that aren't on Sunday Ticket. So it's becoming a harder sell for my wife, but me being in the sports industry now, that's the trump card right there. But if it weren't for work, it'd be harder to sell because Eagles games are always on in the Washington market somehow. So I guess I'll still be spending that
work
money.
is work. You know, you got to put it in. You know, you need to invest money to make money.
I mean, unless DirecTV want to pass out discounts, you know, we do a lot of promoting for y'all every week. What's up? Individual discounts. All right, so look, man, I don't know, you know, because a lot of you guys probably heard Frank on the show before, so you probably already know he's a Giants fan. For those who don't know, now you know. One of your former Giants players, Will Allen, he's been indicted on 23 federal charges stemming from a $32 million Ponzi scheme that he allegedly ran between the years of 2012 and February of this year, 2015. Will Allen is now 36 years old and could be spending the rest of his days behind bars. This is the story. He was originally hit with civil fraud charges back in April after authorities uncovered his scheme, which involved him making high-interest, short-term loans to other athletes during the off-season. The problem was he didn't have this money personally to loan, so he would raise the money from investors because he promised them an 18% return on their investment. Once he got that money, he would just use the money on himself. So he said, you know, who needs football because I'm still making this money. What's up with your Giants? Like we were talking about off air before we came on, Frank. You got Will Allen running Ponzi schemes. You got JPP blowing his hand damn near off like Carl Weathers.
I blame Tom Coughlin. I think it's
Happy
Tom
Gilmore. Like, yeah, what's going on, man?
It's got to be Tom Coughlin's fault. I think Tom Coughlin's like such an angry man that I feel like he just makes all of his players just hate their life during the season. So when they get in the off season, like JPP, he's sitting there July 4th. He's like, should I blow a bunch of fireworks that maybe I shouldn't do? He's like, yeah, because it's the off season, and once I get into training camp, Coach Coughlin's going to be on my ass. I'm not going to be able to do anything. So hell yeah, I'm going to buy a stand full of fireworks and blow my hand off. But I want to shout out Will Allen for actually being, you know, everybody talks about NFL players not being the smartest people around, even though he got caught. That, you know, bad job by him on that. But to know what you go to an NFL locker room and you're like, yeah, I'll give you a high interest loan, whatever you said, a high 18% back. You know, NFL players are just like, yeah, man, whatever. Yeah, here's my money. I don't care. Invest it. So my man Will Allen was doing work. He took the Sam Hurd plan to another level. My man Sam Hurd was just like selling packs on the corner. Will Allen was going a whole nother route.
Will Allen was in the league for a long time. So Will Allen knows what he's working with in these locker rooms. He knows that guys, they don't want to be known. And like he was giving loans to some of the athletes, but I'm pretty sure that some of his investors had to be athletes as well, if he has balls like that, because those are the guys that might come after you. So if some of his investors were indeed, if they were indeed athletes as well, it's like he's been in locker rooms for a long time. He knows what he's working with. He knows that guys out there, like a lot of people give athletes the title of like dumb jocks who's going to blow their money. So a lot of them make dumb investments in an effort to not be one of those people that we all talk about, but the investments are never that smart. So you can take advantage of that, especially if you're a guy who's been in the locker room and they trust, like he was. But now, like you said, it was smart while it lasted. He made $32 million off of it. And it seems like, you know, it was something he may have been, it says his role, so I don't know who else was involved in it with him, but, you know.
Yeah, I think they said it was like a couple of accountants. There was like a couple of accountants that were also indicted or something like that. But you know he was walking around the locker room going, yo, how many concussions have you had? 3? All right, can I interest you in something? Like I got a whole new plan. He's trying to target those guys that aren't too smart.
Well, your boy Will is looking at 240 years behind bars. It's funny how the justice system always, you know, when we read reports, he's looking at 240 years because they're going to add up all of these charges because he's really going to live that long. So basically, he's looking at the rest of his life in prison because he's looking at least 20 years for each count of wire fraud, and it's crazy. But he was a 10-year NFL vet. You know, he was selected by your Giants back in 2001. Played 5 seasons there and 5 seasons in Miami. So we got to give them half. He probably learned all of this type of stuff in Miami.
Yeah, you know for a fact Eli was in on it. You know for a fact he got Eli to invest.
Oh, yeah. And when Eli found out he lost his money, he made that famous face.
Yeah, the same face he makes when he throws it. One of the 20 interceptions he's going to throw in the season.
The Eli struggle face. I don't know why I'm throwing these interceptions. All right. So, Will Allen, shame on you, basically for getting caught, because if you can make $32 million illegally and not get caught, then might have to pat you on your back a little bit. But you get one of these anyway.
Should be ashamed of yourself, the way you carry yourself.
All right, Frank, I don't know if you heard these rumors, and I don't know any details on this, but I keep hearing reports. I think the original one that I heard was a report from Dwayne Price of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram down in the Dallas area. He said that, the whole presentation and the sit-in and the camp out by Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Steve Ballmer, Doc Rivers, whoever was involved in the whole we need to get DeAndre Jordan back thing, whoever was involved, I heard it wasn't them who actually got him to come back. I heard that Callie Rivers, daughter of Doc Rivers, is the reason. She's the one who convinced DeAndre to come back. Do you have any information on what she did to make him come back? And if you don't have information, we can always speculate, because that's what we do here in the War Room. So if you don't have information, just give me the word, and we can just speculate.
I got no solid evidence, but, I mean, my speculation would be I think Doc is working his way to just get the whole family on the payroll. So he started with his son, who stole about $7 million from the Clippers this offseason. He's probably got the daughter on as, DeAndre's quote-unquote personal aide. We all know how that works in politics. And then, he's going to get, the cousin to be, a janitor in the arena. So my man Doc's working one family member at a time. He's got to start at the top, with the offspring, and then he's just going to work his way down. And then eventually the Staples Center is just going to be run by all Rivers family. Look,
man, some of the greatest businesses and companies in this country were built off nepotism. So shout out to you, Doc. Callie, we've seen her before, because she's the one who dated Paul George, right?
Oh, that's even more. I think we call that circumstantial evidence, Steph. I think that's what we call that.
Yeah, and we've seen photos of Callie. If you haven't, Google Callie Rivers. She looks like she could be very persuasive. Picking where you play for the next, 5-7 years or so, or whatever he signed. Yeah, that probably takes a lot of power, but looking at her, she could probably be a little persuasive. But I'm sitting here did she just do this out of the kindness of her heart for her daddy's team? Did Doc ask her to do that? Because if he asked her to do something, that could be borderline pimping on Doc's part. Throwing things out there.
Doc the GM gets a pat on the back because you got to do whatever you got to do to retain the best team possible. Doc the dad, he kind of that's an iffy move. It's an iffy move for Doc the dad right there.
Yeah, so I'm like, is it just straight up pimping, or did he hire her as an actual recruiter / scout? I just have questions. I don't even have that much speculation. I have questions. Is she dating DeAndre now? Why is she so involved in where he ends up? Did she not want to move to Dallas? I need answers. So if anybody out there has answers on why and how Callie Rivers got DeAndre Jordan to re-sign with the Clippers, please let us know, because I'm interested.
And Google, but like that said, Google Callie Rivers and then ask yourself the question again. Do it before you Google it, and then do it after you Google it, and you will have different questions.
After you Google her, your speculation will be in line with many people from the male species. All I'm saying, I'm patting DeAndre on the back. Y'all can't see me, but I'm giving him an air pat on the back. You too, Paul George. I'm looking at you. All right, so Doc and his family hustle. Shout out to T.I. Ty Lawson. Seems like his life has fallen apart a little bit. His Denver Nuggets, first of all, they drafted a highly touted point guard in the first round, in the first 5 picks of the NBA draft last month. And he was just arrested in L.A. back, I think it was Tuesday morning, on suspicion of DUI. This would be his second DUI arrest in less than 6 months. Now, earlier when I was talking, Frank, I said he was pulling a Donovan, but looking as though Donovan's two were 18 months apart and Ty's were 6 months apart, I'd have to reverse that and say Donovan McNabb was merely pulling a Ty Lawson. So what's your thoughts? What's going on with Ty?
I mean, it's easy to say there's no excuse, and there really isn't any excuse for 2 DUIs as an NBA player who could get anybody to give him a ride home, basically. Anybody would say, I've seen Chad Johnson put on Twitter, I'm in such and such place, can everybody give me a ride? And one of his followers will come and give him a ride wherever he wants to go.
Probably like 6 of his followers show up.
Right. But, unfortunately, NBA players, and really all athletes think they're invincible and that they can't be touched. I mean, we've seen this over. There's so many, you can have numerous examples of all these guys. A guy like John Bones Jones is going through the same kind of thing where he just keeps messing up, even though he's got the whole world ahead of him and he's basically the best UFC fighter in the world, arguably, and yet can't stay out of trouble. So, and then you can't fight.
Right.
So, I mean, unfortunately, these athletes think they're invincible, and it really is unfortunate, and there really is no excuse for it.
Right, and Ty Lawson, I mean, he could be in big trouble because he had the one in Denver 6 months ago, and that hasn't even gone to trial yet. He was currently on pretrial supervision for the case in Denver, and one of the conditions of his bond, he posted $1,500 bond back then, and the conditions of his bond included no alcohol consumption and monitored sobriety. So throw those out of the window. Yeah, so throw those out of the window because Ty Lawson's in trouble again. So lessons have to be learned, man. Lessons definitely have to be learned. But Ty Lawson, you're going to be our second JoJo Award winner of the evening because you should be ashamed of yourself, especially getting another one when you haven't even gone to trial.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Come on, Ty.
The way you carry yourself.
Let's need a point guard,
All
though.
right.
Just throwing that out there.
This one, I know there's some people out there need a point guard. I know your team does. We're going to talk about that a little later. We talked, Frank, a few weeks back on the show. I don't know if you listen or if you guys over at Sports Kings talked about this or anybody wrote about it. We all heard about the whole Brittany Griner, Glory Johnson situation where they were married for a good 3 weeks before Brittany called it quits, said she was basically forced into the marriage. Okay, so court documents were filed June 29th, detailing Glory Johnson's request that Brittany Griner pay her $20,000 per month in spousal support, plus a $10,000 advancement towards her attorney fees for their 3-week-long marriage. Now, I'm not well versed in the whole divorce proceeding thing. I've been happily married for the past 8 years, going on 9 in October. And, divorce is not on the menu, so I don't study up on this stuff. But one would think when you're 3 weeks in, first of all, is it even a divorce or is it different in some states? Isn't that just an annulment? And if you get something annulled in less than a month, can you really expect spousal support? I can see child support if in some miracle way you had a baby in 3 weeks, or if you had one going into the marriage. That's kind of difficult for them, even though they are expecting. But $20,000 a month for a 3-week marriage? Is she bugging?
She's absolutely. Glory Johnson is out of pocket completely. How are you going to expect to get paid more an amount per month when you weren't even married for a month? Like, how does that even? I don't even understand it.
And do WNBA players make $20,000 a month?
that was my next point. I mean, the WNBA is pretty close to going out of business. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people. I don't know anybody that watches a WNBA game. No offense. I'm sure you ladies ball out, but I'm just saying. I've never met somebody that's like, oh yeah, what'd you do last night? And they're like, yeah, I was watching that Phoenix Mercury game. Nah, never once.
Never heard that.
Never.
I don't even hear that from women. So
Exactly. So there is no. I don't know how much Brittany Griner gets paid, but I'm pretty sure $20K per month is not in her budget. And she's a rookie.
Yeah.
She's like a
given to
player.
somebody else. She's like a second-year player, I think. The thing is, most of the WNBA players, because they don't make that much, they play elsewhere. And I actually think, don't quote me on it, but I think Brittany Griner makes more in China during the WNBA off season than she does with the WNBA. And she's a popular athlete, so I think she has a few small investments. But their pay, even their endorsements. Even their endorsements are nowhere near in the range of what their male counterparts make. Let me read you some more stuff that Johnson's attorney wrote in that filing, man. She said, Griner has a, quote, far superior control over the family's financial resources, and Johnson is without necessary financial means to pay for her legal representation, i.e., she can't pay me. Says neither Johnson nor Griner, first, Frank, she said far superior control over the family's financial resources. What family are we speaking about? They were married for 3 weeks and they were engaged for 4 weeks. They don't have a family.
You didn't even have to change the first number on the checks. That you didn't even pay any bills. You pay your bills monthly. You didn't even pay any bills yet. You're talking about financial responsibilities. The cable bill didn't even come in the mail yet.
Exactly.
She's bugging.
Exactly.
100% bugging. Out.
You could go ahead and cut that cable off right now and get the prorated bill, and you'll have time to pay it. It's not on anymore. If you take a month or two to go to collections, but you'll be fine. At least ask for that. Don't ask for $20,000 a month. Ask for money for the cable bill. So
ask for the $50. That's for the $50 it's going to take to pay your half of the cable bill.
So they were, man. She's really bugging right now. I'm trying to look on this thing to see what other claims she made, but she's in Tulsa right now, but she's not getting her whole. She is Glory Johnson. She's not getting her whole check because she's pregnant and she's not playing this season. So she's trying to take Brittany to the woodshed over here. And Glory,
I think Glory Johnson's Will Allen in this scenario here. I think she took a page out of Will Allen's book here.
She's running
a mini high interest investment with 18% interest.
Not to mention, Frank, that when all of this was going on, Glory Johnson kept reiterating to the world that she's not gay, and Brittany was her first woman, and it was just something about her. I mean, maybe it's because she's a little manly. Something about her must be the $20K per month that she could possibly afford. That sounds like something. Yeah. So Glory, you're bugging. As Frank said, you're out of pocket. So you get one of these.
You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry yourself.
All right. Glory Johnson's out of her mind. So let's bring this thing down a little bit, man. We just want to give some shout-outs. We didn't get to it last week in the show, but we definitely wanted to give an RIP shout-out to the great Ken Stabler. He passed away last Wednesday, former Raiders quarterback. So shout out to Kenny Stabler. He died at age 69, I believe. He had colon cancer. So everybody out there who's listening, if you're a man, shoot, these days, even if you're a woman, get your colon checked. Get a colonoscopy. You don't have to be 40 or 50 to do that these days because crazy things are happening to younger people. He was only 69. So RIP shout out to Ken Stabler. And congrats to Steph and Aisha Curry on the birth of their second child, another little girl. I believe her name is Ryan Curry. So the cuteness of Riley Curry has some competition now. So maybe in 2 years or so, we'll see Ryan Curry in the press conference taking all of Riley's shine. Yeah. But Who knows? Well, they might not even be on the national stage like that in 2 or 3 years, so we'll see.
You know what's weird, Dev? You know when you hate somebody and it's not their fault, it's just no reason, it's nothing they did? I have that feeling with Riley Curry. I hate Riley Curry because every shot I was supposed to get. No, let me finish. Let me work. Every shot you get of Riley Curry in the audience was a shot I was supposed to get of Mrs. Curry and the wife. You know what I mean? I was looking forward to those shots every time, and then every time I was looking for that, I got Riley, and she's cute. And
you got Riley.
That's not what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, too
so
much.
So in turn,
I
started to dislike her, and I felt bad because she is a really cute little girl. But it is what it is.
You know what though? Because I have something along those same lines. I had no clue whatsoever that Steph's wife was pregnant. I had no clue. And which would mean she was very, very, very pregnant during the NBA Finals when he and his family were plastered across your TV screen nonstop. So I apologize for not noticing, but the reason I didn't notice was along the lines of why you dislike Riley Curry.
Right.
I didn't notice because every time they showed the family, I was looking at Mama Curry, and
right, exactly.
Literally, it's obvious that I never panned away from her during any of those family shots because I had no clue whatsoever until the story came out about them having a baby that they actually had one. So my bad, Steph, for looking at your mom. I know you don't like people talking about your mom like that, but come on, dog, look at her.
Truth.
Congrats to the fam on the new arrival, but we want more shots of Mrs. Curry, the elder.
Yeah, that's
Mrs.
a fact.
Curry. All right, so those are the stories, everybody. That's what happened this week while y'all were on the grind. And real quick, we're just going to give some birthday shout-outs, and birthdays are brought to you, as usual, by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence, top-quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options are available, so visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, be sure to tell them War Room Sports sent you.
My birthday! Yay!
All right, birthday shout-out to one of the greatest centers in NBA history. It's like, no, we're just talking about Chris Mihm. Chris Mihm turns 36. He was on that Lakers team. What's worse, Frank, the Lakers team that Chris Mihm was on where Kobe averaged 35 points a game, or the Lakers team from, last year?
I think the Lakers team from last year has to be worse. I mean, even Chris Mihm wasn't, I think Lamar Odom was on that team at least, or something. They had somebody.
He had at least one dude who ended up winning a chip with him. Maybe two, because I think Luke Walton was on the team as well.
Yeah, he had one dude that he didn't want to just completely go off on in practice like he did last year. How am I supposed to? I can't work with this. Kobe.
Smush.
Kobe's out of pocket always.
He and Smush didn't get along. Yeah, you got a bad team though when your point guard name is Smush. I agree with you though.
Yeah,
I think last year's Lakers team is worse. The talent is probably on par, but shoot, even cats like Smush had more game than some of the dudes that played last year. And the biggest factor, in my opinion, is Kobe Bryant was way better when he was playing with Smush than he was, last season and the season before, even though they all end with injuries.
The problem is that everybody knows that except for Kobe. Kobe's the only one that doesn't know he's not as good as he used to be.
Yeah, he was still the slower, lost a step, volume shooter. I'm going to keep shooting just because my name is Kobe the last couple of years. So back then when he was averaging 35 a game, I think the team may have been a little better, but if all things were equal, Kobe was a lot better. So
Kobe's actually that dude at pickup. Kobe's that dude at pickup that doesn't realize he can't play full court anymore, that he has to play half court now because he can't do it anymore. He can't go back to back to back in the full court. And he's just in denial, so he keeps trying to play with the young kids that come to pick up. That's Kobe.
That's funny, though, Frank, because am I the only dude in America who, in my old age and overweight body, I'm the only dude, I think, would rather play full court though. I get more tired playing half court. Because half court you can't hide your oldness. You can't hide your flaws. You have to chase this dude all the way around.
You can't walk off the court.
Exactly. Full court you can walk, especially on offense. You could just remove yourself totally from the game. Because everybody in pickup wants to shoot anyway. Everybody wants to be a chucker. So if you walk up the court and you're no part of the offense, that's fine. Because they don't want to give you the ball anyway. So I don't know. It might just be me, but I've always gotten more winded trying to play half court. I'm
you might be right about that actually. That's a vet move though. That's what you're talking about. That's a veteran. Oh, yeah. That's a veteran perspective.
I know how to stay on the court while not really being on the court. And all of this came from Chris Mims' birthday. Also, shout out to, in my opinion, because I wasn't around to see Jim Brown play, the greatest running back in NFL history, Barry Sanders, turns 47. What say you, Frank?
I agree. I think Barry can still get on the field right now. Break some ankles.
Well, he's had a lot of rest. He just quit for no reason. Yeah. Like Jim Brown quit after like 9 seasons as well, but you got to know why he quit. He played a bruising style. Like the only thing on Barry Sanders that could possibly have hurt, been aching him when he retired was his knees, and that wasn't because of what anybody else was doing. I never thought he had joints. I thought he had like ball bearings the way he used to change directions and turn corners. So shout out to Barry Sanders. Charles of New York Knicks fame. Charles Smith is known for a play that he probably doesn't want to be known for, but he turned 50 today. So shout out for not the shot blocker, but the shot blocked, Charles Smith. Gary Anderson turns 56. The kicker, Gary Anderson. I think he just retired like 3 days ago. And shout out to Jimmy Johnson, former Cowboys and Miami Hurricanes coach. He turned 72 today, so we want to give a nice big War Room salute to all of these folks on their birthdays. Yay! All right, and before Frank and I get into these hot topics, man, just everybody, check out our website at warroomsports.com while you're there. Be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our company newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message about our company, our show, to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities, or about joining the network. For general inquiries, email us at info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the Memorabilia tab, buy War Room Sports merchandise, click the blog tab to read our latest articles, click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page, to follow us on Twitter, to subscribe to our iTunes podcast, to watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV, to listen to the WRS Podcast Network, and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app to get everything I just mentioned right there on the go. You can join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't have one, if you don't want one, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts as well. And while you're at it, click follow. That'll get you updates and reminders about the show every week. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just make sure you press 1 if you want to talk.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Jamel Hill, the Hers from His and Hers on ESPN2, and you are in the War Room on the War Room Sports Podcast Network.
Yes, on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. All right, so Hot Topics, everybody, is brought to you by Jimmy's favorite sponsor, but he's not here to read his drop. So is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Well, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. Or if you're a pimp like Doc Rivers, you can do that without a device. You can just get somebody to sit there and read you a story. But that's not what we're advertising here. All you got to do is visit Audible. Sign up for your free trial at audibletrial.com/warroomsports. In no time, you can be listening to the latest bestsellers, hands-free, stress-free, while getting other things done at the very same time. But if you have, like I said, if you have any value to the Los Angeles Clippers, maybe you can get Kali Rivers to read you a book without having to go to audibletrial.com. But we'd rather you go to audibletrial.com/warroomsports.
Yeah, not everybody can pay their third cousins to read to them. So yeah, you gotta just go to audible.com.
No
absolutely.
Doubt. All right, so Major League Baseball had its All-Star Game festivities a few days ago. The home run derby went off, and everybody's raving about the new format. Honestly, I did not watch it, and this is my first time probably in about 10 years that I haven't watched the home run derby. Shame on me, because the reason why I did not watch the home run derby is because I actually forgot that they had changed the format, Frank, and I was tired of watching like the 19-hour home run derby from years past, and last season was the season that I'd finally given up on the home run derby. But I forgot
actually
that
didn't know that they changed it until I actually turned it on.
So you were pleasantly surprised.
I was just flipping through channels, and then I knew the home run derby was on, so I just flipped through to see what was going on with it, who was winning, whatever, and then I saw like a time clock going on, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then I just continued watching, see what it was, and found out that they changed the whole format. I liked it.
I was about to say, what about the changes did you like? Shout out to Todd Frazier from Cincinnati, from the Reds, for winning the thing in the hometown. Not his hometown, but the Reds. What aspects of the derby did you like? That was changed from what we used to see.
The two things I really liked was the seating. The seating where you have guys head to head, so that brings a little bit of competitiveness. I'm not sure that I'm not really up on home run derby formats, historically. So, most of the time I think they just had, every guy go kind of like a slam dunk contest in the NBA, whoever had the highest score advance kind of thing.
Exactly.
But to see guys head to head, I thought was really cool because it kind of brings like a competitive factor. And then I really like time limit, because everybody that watches baseball or used to watch baseball and doesn't anymore knows that the one factor in why people do not watch baseball is because it is too damn long. Have you ever watched a baseball game and an NBA game, like flipping through like back to back? You can literally switch the channel to the NBA game. You see about 10 plays, a highlight dunk, like a 10-0 run, and you turn back to the baseball game, and it's literally the same at bat that you left. Literally nothing happened. He fouled off 4 balls, and it's like a 3-2 count, and you missed nothing. And you've seen all this exciting NBA action, and you've missed nothing in this MLB game. So that's,
damn, it's halftime.
The whole time limit thing, it brought a little bit of excitement, I thought, the whole time limit thing. And then you had, like, buzzer beaters, like, you had 2. So I thought for the new format, it was like a dream scenario to have, like, 2, quote-unquote, buzzer beater, game-winning home runs kind of thing. So I thought that was really exciting.
Yeah, that's definitely cool because, like I said, being a home run derby veteran viewer from the past, the biggest complaint that I've had, as well as most other people who watch them, was the time commitment to watching a home run derby, because there was no time clock. For most of the period in my life that I've watched, it's been, like you said, every man basically goes up there on their own, no head-to-heads, and there was no time clock. You would go up there, and however long it took for you to basically hit the ball and it not be a home run, you get 10 of those. So you'd have dudes up there getting pitches, like taking pitches, because there's no walks, there's no balls or anything like that. So if it's not a good pitch, like you can see a dude take like 10 pitches in a row before he even swings. And then you're just up there all day. And, you get a guy who gets hot. That's always exciting. But then, you have to basically hit a home run, or you have to hit a ball that doesn't go out of the park 10 times for it to go on to the next guy. I've seen home run derbies where an individual guy might be at the plate for damn near 20 minutes. And that's ridiculous.
You know how much action you can get in another sports game in 20 minutes?
Right.
Like 20 minutes is a whole quarter. In basketball, if it goes fast, that's a whole quarter.
The only thing that can match like a 20-minute at-bat in a derby or in just a regular baseball game, the only thing that can match that is probably the last 2 minutes of a close NBA game, because that's when everybody utilizes like timeouts. Yeah, and then, the sponsors want to get in on it, so they got to run their ads, and, you start hacking people so the clock stops and people are at the line, and, DeAndre
and
Jordan
you're right with the advertisement too. Yeah, every free throw is like sponsored now. This missed free throw is sponsored by. You're like, really?
Exactly. So I've heard a lot of good things about the new format to the Home Run Derby. So I'm glad people actually enjoyed it. The All-Star Game festivities featured franchise 4 that was honored by the Cincinnati Reds, and Pete Rose was one of the. I mean, it's impossible for you to have a franchise 4 and Pete Rose not be a part of it, but he was actually there. You know, got a rousing ovation from the fans. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank. And I'm not against Pete Rose. Like, for me, it's like, okay, you either let him in or you don't. You know, let him into the Hall, let him back into baseball. But it's not just him not being in the Hall of Fame, if I'm correct. He's supposed to be banned from baseball, right?
That was my impression. My impression is
I was
like
about to say,
he
was
couldn't even
this ban
go.
lifted without my
He was on,
knowledge?
like,
Because
Yeah, to my knowledge, he was basically on like the baseball player like most wanted list. Like he can't even enter a stadium. You can't even go to a game.
right.
You can't even enter
So,
any of the 30 stadiums.
That's what I'm getting at. How does he become a part of this ceremony? How is he honored if he's supposed to be banned from Major League Baseball? Or was he given like a weekend furlough for the All-Star festivities since they were in Cincinnati? And you really can't talk about Reds baseball history without talking about Pete Rose.
Yeah,
I would
that.
think it'd be the kind of thing where they would say his name, because you can't have a top 4 in that franchise without saying his name. But I would figure he just wouldn't be there. But,
yeah, they would just show his picture like he's deceased.
Right.
show a picture of him. You have all the other
Our
three guys
favorite
standing there,
hitter,
you show a picture
Pete
of Pete Rose.
Well, he did get the baseball death penalty, which by all accounts seemed like it was about to be lifted, if it's not still going to be lifted, until that the latest news came out a few weeks ago that he did indeed bet on baseball as a player, something he's vehemently denied for the past 30 years damn near. So congrats to him, you know, for being able to be a part of something in Cincinnati, in Major League Baseball. So maybe that's a step towards him being granted his pardon by the current commissioner. But we'll see.
Also,
we'll see.
shout out to Pete Rose for not snitching on himself for so long. You know, a lot of guys would have cracked. They had all the evidence on Pete Rose. They're like, yo, we got the ticket stubs, we got everything. He's like, nah, it wasn't me. I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't me.
Pete Rose, like taking it to the grave. I think he still probably, that wasn't me. That book you found with my gambling logs wasn't me. Not at all. All right, so the ESPYs were last night. This is something else that I don't usually watch. And I actually tried to. I tuned in last night but luckily when I flipped the channel to the ESPYs, the Caitlyn part was coming up, the Caitlyn Jenner part. So I saw the little video that they did leading up to it, you know, talking about why Caitlyn Jenner is so courageous and all of that stuff. After that, Frank, I draw a blank, because I got onto the internet today and they talked about the rousing speech that Caitlyn Jenner made, and they were talking about the Versace dress that she was rocking and all of that kind of stuff. And it was one of those head-scratching moments like, wait a minute, I was watching this. But I never actually saw Caitlyn Jenner, his or her dress, or his or her speech. So did I just die on the couch for a quick minute and then get up later and just forgot what I was actually watching? I saw none of this. Did you catch the speech?
I couldn't tell you. I did not. I never have and never will watch the ESPYs, nor really any award. I don't watch any award shows. I think it's all fixed and all just stuff to get you to like buy movies and music that you don't really want to buy, but you see it on TV and you're like, well, it won an Emmy or it won an Oscar, so maybe I should check it out and spend the $1.99 at the Redbox. Nah, not gonna be. No, not happening. So I did not catch.
I've watched. Oh, you said you did? You didn't catch the speech?
I did not. No, I did not.
Did you see it on YouTube or on the internet? Because it was everywhere. I still haven't.
I heard some things about it, and I mean, listen, my biggest issue, and I know this is like a whole big issue with her winning the Courage Award. My biggest issue with it is that Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner has had nothing to do with sports in about 40 years. So how can you give a sporting if you're the ESPYs and you're giving sporting awards to people, how can you give it to somebody that has actually not been active in sports in 40 years? That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. Regardless of whether, who's courageous, I think the weird thing is, like, people are trying to, like, quantify courage, which I think courage is a thing where either you have it or you don't. I don't think, like, one person is more courageous than another person is. That's a whole other issue. But my issue is that how can you give an award, a sporting award, to somebody that's actually not in sports? So it makes no sense.
Yeah, and like any reason that we even know or hear of Bruce Jenner these days had nothing to do with sports. It had everything to do with the Kardashians.
If I said the name if I said the name Bruce Jenner to you right now, you would be like, oh, right, Olympic athlete. You wouldn't say Olympic athlete if I said Bruce Jenner. You'd be like, oh, that's the dude that's the Kardashian. That's him. That's who he is now.
The dude who looked like a woman on the Kardashian show. Now we know why he was looking like a woman on the Kardashian show. But, and I agree with you. Like, it's funny to see everybody trying to quantify courage, but I'm gonna be a hypocrite right now, and I'm going to try to quantify courage a little bit. I'm wondering, and it's no knock because I understand the struggle of the lesbian, gay, transgender community. I understand the struggle. Believe me, I do. However, we talk about courage when people talk about wanting to live their real life or whatever, and you have some younger people who've done that. And if you want to put courage on a scale, I'd say some of these younger people probably are a little more courageous because, you've basically waited most of your life. You're in your 60s, and you finally want to be the person that you say you thought you were as a little boy growing up. So it's like it took you a long time to build up this courage. That they're rewarding you for. So
that's a good point. I never thought about that either.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his 60s. Like, you've been saying that you wanted to be Caitlyn since you were, like, a little boy. So how much courage did this take? You've already had your Olympic career. You've already made all the money that you're going to make in your life. Well, you might make a lot more now as Caitlyn. You've had your reality TV spin, you've been with the Kardashians, you've been famous for this, famous for that, and now you want to be courageous. So
yeah, you've already gotten all the benefits of being a middle-aged white man in America, and then all of a sudden
exactly.
It's like, now I'm going to switch. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I got your courage right here. But shout out to the ESPYs that, like I said, I don't watch. I've only ever watched ESPYs on clips because somebody will send me a funny clip. Jamie Foxx and Serena Williams, stuff like that. The most of an ESPY show that I ever watched in my life was last year, and I only did that because I wanted to see if Drake was funny. Because I'm not that big of a Drake fan.
I saw that.
Right, and it's not. It has nothing to do with Drake because I think Drake is good at what he does. He's just not not my style. But I was interested. I was like, let me see if Drake can do this. I was thinking if anybody could pull it off, it's Drake because, like you, me, Jimmy, we always talk about Drake is probably the realest rapper in the history of hip hop music. If you listen to any of his music, or if you see him, in public, or if you read articles about him, he's always doing quote unquote real things. He's not out there, talking about or trying to act like a thug or any of that stuff. Drake is a dude who's struck by the female anatomy and everything he does, whether it's smart or not smart, was in some way influenced by females. And
we've all been there.
Any realer than that. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It doesn't.
That's something everybody can relate to. We can all relate to that.
Exactly. So people want to call Drake soft and this and that. He's not real. He's the realest there has ever been, and probably the realest there will ever be, unless people start taking his blueprint. But anyway, on to the NFL. Adam Schefter, we know from last week, he was getting a lot of heat for leaking Jason Pierre-Paul's medical record, photo of his medical record on Twitter, confirming that he indeed had to get his finger amputated before Jason Pierre-Paul came out publicly, or the Giants came out publicly to tell everybody, what had happened. Adam Schefter basically this week has he's gone on his media rounds basically telling everybody that I give no F's because he's saying I was basically doing my job. Now, we didn't get your take on this, Frank, because you weren't on the show with us last week, but what were your thoughts on Adam Schefter leaking this? Do you think it was a scumbag move, or are you cool with it?
I mean, I definitely think it's a gray area. I mean, I work in the medical field, so I have a little bit of perspective on, the details of, what HIPAA is and all that stuff. And for me, it seemed a little unnecessary, I guess is the word I thought, because it's not like Adam Schefter. I can see if you were like an up-and-coming reporter, and you needed to actually prove that you have a legitimate source.
Right.
Because people wouldn't normally believe you otherwise. Like you're breaking your first big story kind of thing. Like you're Adam Schefter. People believe what you report. It's not like somebody's like, oh, it's Adam Schefter. Throw that out the window because obviously it's not true. He's not like the National Enquirer. He's a reputable NFL reporter. So to actually print the copy and post it, I thought that it just seemed unnecessary, I guess is the best word I can put on it. But one thing I can tell you from working in the medical field is whoever sent that picture or to Adam Schefter, and JP is going to be fired, and JPP is going to own that hospital if he decides to sue. You can just call it Pierre Paul Memorial from now on, because I've heard of scenarios, even anything where you violate somebody's medical privacy is a fireable offense in the medical field. I've even had or heard of people where a guy got a little thirsty and wanted to add a nice looking female on Facebook that he met, in the medical field while he was working. And then if she reports him, that's it. You're done. That's your job. That's, it's a violation. So, I mean, anything, and that's even a very low example, you know what I mean? Whereas this is a major example of you actually releasing somebody's medical records. So
no, but that example is effective because it's telling you if they can pop you for this, imagine what's going to happen for this. And this, because I have no experience. I have no experience in the medical field, but, I've done a lot of research since this story dropped, and I've kind of been arguing with people all week on, War Room Sports social media sites because a lot of people keep saying, well, Adam Schefter is in a lot of trouble. He can get into a lot of trouble, this and that. And, I try to, pass on what I've read. And from what I've read, like you're saying, HIPAA laws don't really govern the media. So Adam Schefter,
HIPAA laws only govern people that are HIPAA certified or that have to adhere to HIPAA, which are people in the medical field, doctors, nurses, those kind of people. It doesn't really apply to people outside of the medical field.
Yeah, he's not liable for this in any way. So he and ESPN are in the clear. So for those people out there who kept trying to argue me down on that, like if you just want to say it was a scumbag move, it was a dirtball move, that's fine. Because if that's your opinion, that's fine. Because like Frank said, I agree that it was unnecessary. I think it was, that journalism where he's just trying to be first. Whereas, like you said before, he's a guy who doesn't have to be, he's always first. And yet already reported it. So there was no need for you to prove it. So it was just one of those things where he just felt the need to be first and to have the proof, no matter what it hurt and who it hurt and whose privacy it violated. I guess he figured since I'm not liable for violating that privacy, then it has nothing to do with me. It gives no F. This is the photo. And for everybody out there that has a problem with it, it's whatever.
My thing is, why couldn't Adam Schefter he could have even said, I have a copy of medical record and this is what it says. He doesn't have to say, sources tell us whatever. Like, if Adam Schefter said, I have a physical copy of the record, people are going to believe him that he's obtained a copy of the record. You don't actually have to post it for people to believe you. That was the unnecessary part of it for me, the actual posting of it. It just seemed like you didn't need to do that.
Right. It was basically one of those things where he's discounting his own credibility because you have plenty
saying that I need to post this in order for you to believe me.
Right. If Adam Schefter says, I have his medical records and this is indeed what happened, I don't think there's going to be more than 10 people out there who say,
well, we don't believe you. You need more people.
But evidently,
and I think
he felt like he needed more people and he went and got more people.
And I think it would be affirmed by, when JPP actually shows himself in public and he has one less finger. I think that would affirm your story.
Yeah, somebody was going to find out, very soon.
Yeah.
People were going to
I don't know how
out.
JPP, that was the other thing. I don't know how JPP thought he was just going to, keep it under wraps. Dude, you got one less finger. People are going to notice that when you walk outside. It's not like it's a toe. You know what I mean? It's like you're wearing shoes all the time. People are not going to notice you have one less toe. I don't know. It's crazy.
All right, so look, because I see we got some calls on the line. So I see you waiting out there. We're gonna get to a call in a minute. So, but before we do that, we want to talk about one more thing in the NFL, and that's the new contracts of Dez Bryant and Demaryius Thomas. They actually finally got paid. Now, this was after the NFLPA threatened a suit alleging collusion between the Broncos and the Cowboys because there is evidence, or allegedly there's evidence of a phone call between officials from these two teams basically trying to implore one another not to drive the market rate, not to drive the price up too much, because one of these receivers' deals was going to hinge on whichever one of them got a deal first. So
right.
After that threat, they both come out with, what did they get, 5 years, $70 million or something like that, $14 million guaranteed. They basically got the same contract. So what are your thoughts on,
the funny part
one, the collusion, and then two, the contracts in general?
I mean, as far as the collusion, maybe this is just the pessimist in me. I always assume it was one of those unwritten things where teams did it all the time. Discussed, what are we doing here so we can try and keep the players' salaries limited. So I always just assume that kind of thing goes on, and everybody kind of knows about it, but nobody says anything, that kind of thing. I didn't realize it was such a big deal. But the other thing is that how are you going to deny the collusion suit and then give the guys the same exact contract? That's not a coincidence. People aren't going to think that's a coincidence. They both got 5 years, $70 million. There's no way there's some collusion going on here. You gave them the same exact amount of money. I think Dez has more guaranteed money, if I remember correctly from the reports. But basically it's the same deal. So I thought that was pretty funny. Kind of a little dig maybe from the NFL to the Players Association.
So what are your thoughts on who lives up to this deal the best?
That's a tough one. I think they're both talented. I think obviously Dez is the riskier contract because of, even though some of his issues are in the past, he is kind of, he's a hothead. Sometimes you might get thrown out of a couple games, by doing some unnecessary stuff, whereas Demaryius is just consistent. You know what I mean? Even though I should throw a little, aside that there are some games, if you have Demaryius Thomas on your fantasy team, there are some 2-reception, 12-yard games out there. But, I think that sometimes is because the defense is paying so much attention to him, and, Peyton really does like to spread the ball around, so I think he has no problem getting other guys involved, and I'm not sure how much is Demaryius himself underperforming.
Right.
So I definitely think Demaryius is the safer bet, but I think obviously Dez has more of a potential to exceed his contract, whereas Demaryius probably, that is the right price for him, and you'll get that kind of production out of him.
Yeah, and that's actually my thought on it as well. And when we talk about those 2 for 12 stinkers by Demaryius, Peyton and the Broncos always have so much talent. So when he is being blanketed, he has somebody to throw to. Now, on the other hand, the Cowboys have pretty good talent as well, but the people on the other side from Dez Bryant aren't of the same caliber as the people on the other side from Demaryius Thomas. So, there are situations where Dez is so good, Romo can and does force the ball into him at times because Dez is going to go up and make those difficult catches. So I've heard a lot of arguments lately about Dez Bryant actually being the best wide receiver in the NFL. Do you buy that, or are you still on the Megatron train?
Nah, Dev. You can play that Jay-Z clip again. Nah. That's just no. Not in the same world where Calvin Johnson exists. No, not at all. I think Calvin Johnson is by far and away the best receiver, and I think second is an interesting conversation because I think there's a lot of guys, including a guy like Antonio Brown, which might be in that conversation now given his performance the last 2 seasons. But I think Calvin Johnson is number one.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think it's, people don't see I mean, because he had some injuries this past season, so I think a lot of people it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Other people are balling while he's still doing his thing, and you know they start to look at other people and get the little glowing there. I think I'm not going to go as far as to say, well, as long as Calvin Johnson is in the league, he's going to be the best. But for a while, for a while, it's going to be difficult to make that argument against a healthy Calvin Johnson. So we'll see how all of this wide receiver stuff plays out once this season starts. So before we go to the phone lines, let's talk about our stat of the week real quick. And the stat of the week is from, as a matter of fact, let's talk about your boy. This is not really a stat as far as a game stat, but, you know, your former net point guard, Darren Williams, he signed a 2-year deal with the Mavericks on Tuesday. His birthday is June 26, 1984, which is the same date as
I heard. I know what you're going to. I heard this.
Raymond Felton and J.J. Barea. Exactly. Both of them, you know, reportedly he's going to re-sign with the Mavs. So the Mavs could potentially have 3 people on their roster with the same birth date. You know, I don't know how interesting that is to people out there, but that's kind of crazy.
It's interesting to me.
It said no NBA team has ever used 3 players in one season who are all born on the same date. That's like, people can sit here and say, oh man, that is weak. Yo, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the same, not only the same birthday, but actually the same date, like the same year.
Same year.
I mean, I can see it being crazy even if they had 3 guys with the same birthday. You know, 3 guys born on June 26th. Even that's crazy to me. But to have actual, like, 3, 31-year-old guys, you know, born on the same exact day, that's weird.
Yeah, so, you know, the team parties, the strip clubs in Dallas is going to be on and popping on June 26th. June 26th. So they better go out there and, because, you know, it's the Mavs. They're not going to be in the finals or anything. So
right. If they got Darren Williams, it's not like they're going to be celebrating anything. So, you know, I'm already throwing shade.
Except for the birthday.
I haven't got no shade. I'm already throwing shade.
No shade whatsoever. So with that, before we move on to talk a little more about some NBA news, we're going to go to the phone lines. We got some people out here on the lines that have been waiting for a while. I think I know who they are, but fellas, I don't know if you've been listening. You know, we're not rolling with a producer tonight, so nobody's screening calls. But 843, I think that's my homie Roll Tide.
Roll Tail Tide, what's going on?
What's going on, man? How you?
Hey, before I get going about Alabama, can someone tell Ronda Rousey to keep Floyd Mayweather's name out her mouth? Because they're playing the white boys in the UFC. You beat Mayweather, you don't hear a peep out of her. But anyway, I tell Brittany Griner this: if you want to beat a man, woo, you're gonna have to pay up like the man, you know. But my main reason I wanted to call was this whole Caitlyn Jenner thing. I'm mad I lost the prop bet. I sure did bet $20 each that Caitlyn was gonna wear a black dress and show cleavage. I lost money on that, so I was kind of upset about that. But I saw an article for the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail fires everything, where Caitlyn Jenner's representative said, ESPN, if you want to plug this person, you're going to have to give Caitlyn the ESPY award, pretty much in exchange for plugging the show and everything. So this became one big publicity stunt. And that's the stuff that I don't like. You know, do what you do in your life, but don't try to make it a publicity stunt. You know, why you got people like Laverne Cox from Orange is the New Black don't even get a sniff of this type of stuff from the media, you know? And we all know why.
You know, because ESPN, they don't have trouble, of course, with their ratings. But you know, I don't know a lot of people who actually watch the ESPYs. Frank and I were talking earlier. You know, we don't watch the ESPYs, so I could kind of understand how ESPN would do the sellout route and try to do this as a publicity stunt and try to ride that Caitlyn wave. So I can fully see where you're going with that one.
Yeah, big corporations selling out would never be a surprise to me.
Not at all.
And plus, remember, it said also, I'll post on you guys' page or whatever, how to tie in or to pull out an interview, ABC interview, and you know they're all tied in the same company. So before people start going on talking about ESPN Digital so great, it's all business here. It ain't about caring about trans or gay people, whatever. It's about the dollar bill. Folks gotta understand that. But you know something, man? Y'all talking about Darren Williams? Boy, I tell you, born on the same day as Raymond Felton and J.J. Barea. I know when Raymond Felton's birthday comes, but he's hell at the Golden Corral. You seen him in a T-shirt lately? But hey, but
they're going to need 4 cakes.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I bet Raymond Felton at the Chinese buffet, they say, you don't eat here no more, whatever. I don't know, man. They just said, you don't not eat here no more. But the problem is that with Felton, I'm not done with Darren Williams. Look at how that star fell, and everybody criticizing Cuban they get him. But imagine if Cuban was stuck with that contract for a guy who just fell off the face of the earth. And that's what the thing with free agency. Sometimes that you may be lucky if you don't get that guy. For example, and I touched this real quick. You guys think of this. Why in the everybody talking about like Kobe taking pay cuts and stuff? One, Dirk took a pay cut where they got him. But why in the hell is a player like Reggie Jackson, DeAndre Jordan, these guys are getting money that's close to what LeBron James is getting every year?
John Wall was just saying that. He was like, dang, Reggie Jackson getting what I'm getting. He ain't had to put Reggie Jackson's name out there like that, but John Wall did go at him a little bit. And as far as Darren, you know, I've always been a big Darren Williams fan, big supporter. Thought for a minute he was the best point guard in the league. I don't know what the hell happened to him. But going to his hometown, maybe this could be a little bit of a resurgence. He got the buyout from the Nets, so he's working with a 2-year, $10 million deal. So he's making regular people money for NBA players. You know, he's not making that Darren Williams superstar type of money. So maybe this will make him a little hungry, you know, the money, the fact that he's playing at home, the fact that he has a lot
doesn't have to be the man.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be the man.
He doesn't have to be the best player on that team.
Yeah, he has a little bit to prove though, and this might just be the right situation for him. So
yeah, I mean, just as a Net fan that talks to a lot of other Net fans and you know live tweet the games, you know, a lot of times during his Nets tenure, people would say, you know, like Darren's got to take over. You know, Darren's got to be the best player on this team. And I'm not sure that was ever his game. I think he sort of is more of a facilitator. In that respect, I mean, he obviously can score. But on this Maverick team, I think this will be a lot more of what his role should be as an NBA player. I do think he's going to do well there.
He's too low-key for that city. See, he's too low-key for New York. And see, that's the problem. Like, even like Utah, that kind of fit him. Even Dallas, the city may fit him better. You know, certain type of cats could be in those big cities and be on that microscope. But
well, you know, Dallas fits him because he was raised there, so Dallas probably molded him. Yeah. So it'll definitely fit.
I'll say this. I know you got to go, but I know everybody talking my boy Nick Saban comments. I don't think I got to tell Nick. This is the problem, and I was saying this all year last year. Blake Snell was a quarterback. I'm sorry. If Ohio State, hey, that was part of it. Ohio State third-string quarterback was better than the starter. That's a problem. And it wasn't even close to talent difference. I don't know if Blake Snell's made the CFL or the Arena League. I don't know. I think Blake Snell's got a real job like everybody else. But, and so my thing is, I love you, Nick, but hey, you can't complain if the quarterback is that garbage and that team got ran over. The better team won that night. But like I said before, no, you got to go. If there's a dead heat between that red shirt senior who could not beat out Blake Sims, who was playing running back and fetching water his whole career before then, or the red shirt freshman, you got to go with the freshman because that red shirt senior shouldn't even be close. And that's all I have, man. And go Bulls, go Derrick Rose, and roll tide.
All right, man. Tobias, thanks for your call, man. We appreciate it. We'll wrap to you next week.
All right, peace.
Yo, real rap, I respect anybody that's committed enough as a fan to actually have an Alabama rant in July. Like that's
Oh, yeah.
dedication right there. That's like a whole level.
Tobias call in pretty much every week, and he's going to say he's going to have at least 2 bars for Alabama every time, and they could be so far away from college football season it doesn't matter. And he's always railing on the quarterback. We got one more on the line before we can get into a little bit more NBA talk. I think we got Rob out in Cali. Rob, what's going on, bro?
What's up, man? It's your boy Big Rob. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? What's going on out there on the left coast?
Oh, Comic-Con was on point, you know what I mean? I wish I could send y'all some pictures, you know. Y'all, you know what? You know, soon I'm going to have me and my goofy twin brother, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna do hopefully like shows, our show. We can just show y'all, you know, what Comic-Con is like, you know. I'll do some interviews, you see the costumes. It was on point, though.
What you want to talk about real quick?
All right. Caitlyn Jenner thing, I already did my rant on Facebook, man. I have a lot of, you know, I'm from California, you know, we're LGBTQ, you know, friendly, but however, I sometimes you got to pull down your pants, you just got to show them, you know what I'm saying? You got to show them what's up. And hey, I got to
pull down your pants and show them what's up. Yeah.
Hell yeah. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, you got to show them what's up. And I had to do my whole rant, and I just said, you know, I think it's an embarrassment to sports that Caitlyn Jenner won an award. You know, Lauryn Hill should have won an award. Noah Galloway, even Scott Stewart, which really, excuse my vernacular, pisses me off because, you know, it touches my heart because, you know, Scott, you know, I'm a young dude. I'm only 25, just turned 25. And Scott Stewart was, Stuart Scott was, he was,
Oh, I was wondering if that's what you meant. I was like, Scott Stewart.
Stuart Scott.
Well, Stu, I think Stu won it last year, though. Did he?
Yeah,
I think he might have won it.
I mean, like I said, I don't watch, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, I think Stuart Scott won the award last year. But no, I saw the post that you put on our page, Rob. The young girl Lauryn Hill. She passed, didn't she?
Yeah,
she passed.
She did.
But also when she was passing, and she was raising money for cancer awareness. I mean,
I think I agree with you. That probably would have been the better choice. But like Tobias said when he called in, they're just trying to ride that wave, that publicity, that popularity, the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing. It probably got more eyes on the ESPYs, a show that I'm sure it doesn't do as well as all the other shows. And I know ABC is a parent company of ESPN, but how the hell do you have the ESPYs and they're not on ESPN? That's kind of weird to me. Like, why are the ESPYs on another
after
network?
ESPN?
They had to get your boy from San Francisco to wear like a spandex suit. Come on, man. The ESPYs.
Frank's boy, Beckham, Odell Beckham, he had on quite the tight suit when I turned the channel too. He had trouble walking off the stage after he won his award because his pants were like, it's like he had like his suit was like he had an invention he was showing off. Like, look, we got workout and we got, you know, award show. We got formal.
That's another reason. That's another reason I don't watch these shows. That's another reason I don't watch these shows. You know, I don't want to know how these athletes dress these days. It's a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the tight clothes revolution is real. Hey, so Rob, man, thanks a lot for your call, man. We appreciate it. You know, we're flying a little blind today. Jimmy's gone. B. Austin's gone. We ain't got no producer. So call back in next week. We should have a full. Well, B. Austin will still be in the motherland, but Jimmy will be back, and everything will be a little bit smoother. So make sure you give us a call next week, man.
All right, man. Talk about the D League championships going on, man. The playoffs.
Did you say the D League? Nah,
Summer League.
Summer League.
Oh, okay, Summer League. I'm like D League.
Yeah.
Like, nah, I'm cool. But no, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Summer League and who's getting.
I'd rather watch the D League than the WNBA. I'm just saying.
True.
Nah,
True.
I like either. I'm more I mean, I like
You like the
women's
WNBA?
basketball too. Yeah, I could get into it because even college basketball, I like basketball. Period. Would be college.
Yeah, I
street,
used to be
anything.
into it back in like the Cheryl Swoop, Tina Thompson days. I mean, Tina Thompson, she still played. She might still be playing, but I'm talking about in the heyday, back when the Houston Comets won like 4 straight. Like it was new, so it was cool. But I think it's kind of run its course. And that's not to say, that's not to say it shouldn't be around. It should be around because the women in the U.S. need somewhere to play too, professionally, without, trying to make all of your income overseas or getting jobs and then going overseas during their season. So it should be here. But as far as me and my viewership, it's pretty much run its course. I couldn't tell you what was going on in the WNBA right now.
Well, I feel you. I mean, for me, I the competitiveness. I don't care as long as you can compete and don't flop. You know what I mean? Y'all good. Shoot, there's more flopping in men's basketball than women's basketball. Paul, think about that. It's bad. It's very sad. Yeah.
It's a part of the game now. Not a part that I like or accept, but it's a part of the game now. As long as the refs fall for it, it's going to be a part of the game. So, Rob, thanks for your call, man. We appreciate it. We'll holler at you next week.
Peace.
All right, man. All right, that was Rob from out in Cali. Always call in and give us the proverbial temperature of what's going on out there in sunny California. But real quick, before we talk a little bit more NBA, you guys can check out our website at warroomsports.com to call in and speak with us about any of today's topics. Preferably, if you're calling in now, hopefully it's about NBA news. You can dial the Digital Extreme Tech hotline, 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1.
What's happening? This is Michael Smith, the His from His and Hers on ESPN2, and you are in the War Room on War Room Sports Podcast Network.
All right, so this NBA talk is brought to you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Just go to our site, warroomsports.com. Click on the Fanatics logo on our main page or on our sponsors page and get the latest in NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA gear, and a whole lot more. Yes, we are. All right, Frank. You know the bad news that's come out of my hometown, Philadelphia, in the past week. I mean, it's always bad news when the Sixers are involved these days. But, for a team, for an organization with a quote-unquote plan, things are starting to backfire a little bit. Joel Embiid, supposedly the future, the great center from the Philadelphia 76ers who hasn't played an NBA minute yet, he's going to have another surgery on his navicular bone of his right foot, and he's going to miss the entire season again. So he's going to miss his first 2 seasons in the league. I got a question before we start talking about this. I know you can get an exemption and get your rookie year back and, be eligible to be the rookie of the year after you miss your first year. Can you still do that after missing another year? Is he still going to be a rookie? If he ever plays at all, is he still going to be a rookie?
So basically, what you want to know, Dev, is that will Joel Embiid be the Rookie of the Year in the 2016-2017 season? Is that what you're asking me?
Or in the 2018, 2019 season, whenever. Is he still eligible?
I don't know if you can go the Blake Griffin route 2 seasons in a row. I don't know if you could do that. I wouldn't think so, but I guess it would be his first season playing, so he would be a rookie. You know what? I'm going to change my answer. I definitely think you can, because you have guys that play in like Europe for, that have been signed on to an NBA team.
Right.
Yeah, like Manu Ginobili, his first season in the NBA, he could have won Rookie of the Year. So I would think Embiid would be eligible.
See, but what the NBA probably says to combat that is like, we wasn't paying Manu's ass. We're paying this dude. He gets a check.
Yeah, that's true.
And something has to give. He gets a check. So what are your thoughts on this situation, man?
What if he's injured for so long that by the time he gets healthy to play, he's actually a free agent? That would be my question.
Right, and then leaves. He didn't look too thrilled on draft night anyway, and then leaves and becomes everything he was supposed to be with another team when the Sixers did nothing but, be his hospital bed until his rookie deal was up. So what are your thoughts, man? Because this team is supposed to have quote-unquote process. This is supposed to be the plan. The plan is backfiring. I can't really say that the Sixers will be, if there was any assurance to them that he will eventually get over this and be what he's supposed to be, they probably wouldn't be too mad, because the Sixers are all about drafting people and making them wait to play or allowing them to stay overseas wherever they are. Like, they're all about
trading them if they win too many games.
About being, they're all about being NBA champions in the 2019-2020 season. Like, they don't care about what's going on right now. So
my thoughts, honestly, my first thought is, as a Net fan, it's really hard for me to critique other teams' like personnel decisions because my team probably has made the worst personnel decisions in the league. So it's kind of hard for me to look at another team and be like, nah, you guys are doing it all wrong. But I would say that as far as job security, I think Sam Hinkie's doing a great job, because he can just keep saying, like, look at all this potential, look at all these young guys we got. We're going to be better in 3 years, and I'm still going to have a job then, because you need me to build this team 3 years from now. So I think
Sarek comes over, and when Embiid's not hurt, and when Noel was hurt, missed his first season. So
yeah, I mean, that's a low key veteran move, I think, by Hinkie. But honestly, I mean, in all seriousness, it is terrible to see with Embiid, because he has been such a promising prospect, and people have been talking about how much potential he has, and he really is the prototypical new NBA center. I mean, he's athletic. I mean, granted, I don't know how his foot's going to be when he gets back on the court, but before, when he was at Kansas, he's a big guy, like a Tyson Chandler-esque, which I think Tyson Chandler really is the ideal big man in the NBA now. Not him now because he's a little older, but I think his type of player, you're a defensive stopper on one end, you can run the floor, you catch alley-oops, you get rebounds, you bring a toughness, that kind of player, and I think Embiid could be that kind of player. So I think it's unfortunate, but I also don't know what they're doing. How would you play Embiid, Okafor, and Noel? Like, if those guys are supposed to be your future, you can't play them all together, you know what I mean? So I think at some point, one of them has to go, obviously. You're thinking way down the line.
But for me, being a fan, I was ecstatic about having that problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when the Lakers took D'Angelo Russell, I was like, okay, I know, Moutier was still on the board, but I'm like, I know the Sixers want a guard, but you have to take this guy if he falls into your lap, and, that guy being Jahlil Okafor. I think, it would have been a great problem to have, and the reason why is because none of the three have basically proven themselves as an NBA player, or at least an NBA
You just kind of let them prove it out on the court.
Right. So you get a chance to prove it, and the Sixers get a chance to wait and then make a decision on that later. Like, I don't think it would be smart, like, oh, we got Jahlil Okafor and we still got Embiid, so let's trade Nerlens Noel. No, let those dudes play and let them weed out who's going to be the better of the three, who's going to be the top two that you're going to want to keep. And the other one, if they all live up to their potential, that's a nice trade chip that you got to go out into the market and get some good players or some good picks or something back. So I love having the
about
problem,
that mindset,
but Embiid is messing up the problem, man.
Yeah, like saying that Okafor is a no-brainer, it's weird that it almost seems like the NBA draft is like prehistoric to the way the NBA is now, because every time it seems like you have a big man and a wing or a guard, everybody's like, oh, you got to take, like that old school mindset, you got to take the 7-foot guy because those guys don't come every day. But if you think about it, I mean, in today's NBA, all the great players on the best teams are all wing players and guards. You know what I mean? You don't really have a dominant big man that's like winning you championships. You don't have a Bill Russell anymore that's leading your team to championships. Like, best player in the league is LeBron James. Then you have Kevin Durant. You got your Paul Georges, your Kawhi. Like, these are all the same kind of players. Like, the guy that plays the 3 but can play the 4 in today's small league, and he's just kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if the big guy is the no-brainer anymore. I don't know if you build around the center anymore.
Paul George is about to be
and it's weird. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna get to that, but it's weird that in today's in the NBA draft, it seems like that mindset is still there, that you have to take the big guy, you can't take the wing. That's why a guy like Justice Winslow falls to 10, when I think he's the guy you want on an NBA team today. You know, in today's NBA, he seems like that's your number one pick.
Well, you made a point.
I mean, if
you're
just talking about like what he can be.
Right. When you were talking about Tyson Chandler, you kind of made a point that I had to reluctantly agree with last week. Something that Jimmy said, because we were talking about DeAndre Jordan and why in the hell teams are fighting over a guy who averages 8 points and 9 rebounds like he's Wilt Chamberlain or somebody. But, you know, Jimmy was making the point, like, he's a valuable commodity in today's league. Those are the type of big men that you're looking for. And he's in that Tyson Chandler mode where he's athletic, he's going to block some shots, he's going to get you rebounds, you know, can't score with his back to the basket to save his damn life, but, you know, he's going to get alley-oops and putbacks and all kinds of stuff that you value in today's game. I mean, for Christ's sake, they're about to make hustle stats a legitimate statistic in the league. And it's because of guys like that. How many times, you know, do they count Tyson Chandler? They count as a rebound when he taps the ball out, and they always want to make a big deal out of it every time he does it. And
and then you have like your advanced stats where you're talking about how many shots does he change, how many, even though he doesn't block a shot, how many times does a guy adjust his shot because Tyson Chandler's there in the backstop. You know, and I will sort of qualify my statement. I do think your literal ideal big man probably has a little more offensive talent than a DeAndre Jordan or even a Tyson Chandler. Where like with DeAndre, you're basically playing 4-on-5 offensively, unless you're throwing him an alley-oop, because it's not like he's giving you anything offensively aside from a putback. You know what I mean? So I think in a sense you want somebody that is an offensive threat that can hit a 10, 12, 14-foot jump shot if need be, can, you know, late in the clock, you could throw it in the post, and maybe he has a post move or two, which I don't think DeAndre or Tyson Chandler, for that matter, really do have. But I think Jimmy brings up a good point last week, where, you know, these are the kind of guys that are running the league as far as big man go. There's no longer do you just like throw it into the post for 15 seconds and then you don't work inside out anymore. You work outside in now.
I mean, and more proof of that. You see how people started to rave about Nerlens Noel as the season went on last year. Like, he stepped in the first 2 months of the season. Like, he looked like he didn't know how to play. He didn't know how to play basketball. I mean, he probably still doesn't know how to play basketball.
He still kind of looks like that.
But yeah, exactly. But his skill set lends him to praise, because the Tyson Chandlers of the world, the DeAndre Jordans of the world, this is what teams are looking for right now, because you have so much talent on the wings. Like you said, Frank, the teams no longer need to be carried by the big man. But I'm still old school. So if a Jahlil Okafor falls in your lap, even if you have two of these athletic big men that the league is loving these days, you take Jahlil Okafor, because he has a little bit of old school in him. You can actually throw him the ball in the post and let him go to work when all of that other stuff is not working. So I think it's a good position to be in. They're still going to have to look for a point guard of the future, because you were right. And at least you were right. And what the Sixers thought about MCW, they thought of him what you thought of him, and they got rid of his ass.
I'm telling you, Dev, I'm not unbooking. I mean, it might be a delayed flight, but I'm not unbooking that
turkey flight,
the turkey flight for MCW. I'm not unbooking it yet.
And you know what? Because I don't usually do the Homer, super biased thing, but it was good to have another Rookie of the Year on the team that I root for. And he was a stat stuffer, but when you look at his game, that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people who still complain about him being shipped out of Philly and what he's going to do for the Bucks. What they don't realize that MCW is one of those guys who is basically a stat stuffer, but he's not making that much of a difference on your team.
Right.
He's getting his numbers because he's a tall-ass point guard that can do a little bit of everything, but he can't shoot to save his life. And, that's a skill when you're building a team, especially. That's a skill you need for your point guard to have. And I think that's a big reason on why they gave up with him, that and his health, because he's never healthy.
I think in today's
a lot of people
league,
just look at the stats like, man, he's close to a triple-double all the time, but you got to watch.
I think in today's league, the three crucial things for a point guard is you have to be able to stretch the floor. You have to be able to hit the three. And I think that's very important as a point guard. You have to be able to run the pick and roll. I mean, that's the most basically what every team runs now is some form of a pick and roll offense. And I think the most important thing, honestly, is you have to be able to finish at the rim. And I think we're going to get to Darren Williams in a little bit. But I think what has happened is guys that can't finish at the rim are sort of being transitioned out of the league. You know, like that kind of point guard. If you can't finish among those big bodies or create contact or get to the foul line, a la Russell Westbrook, who is just a bullet going down the floor, and you don't even want to combat with him at the rim because he's going too violently. Those are the kind of point guards people are looking for, not these guys that
Russell.
They can't take the contact
at the rim
and
against the Monstars.
Right.
So he's
right, and then they throw up an air ball. Like those guys don't cut it anymore in the league.
Right. All right. So speaking of that, we talked a little bit about it earlier. Your Nets bought out the last 2 years of Darren Williams' contract. He signs 2 years, $10 million with his hometown Mavericks. By the conversation we were having earlier, you think he could be a pretty good fit in Dallas?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I hope he's not, just because I'm bitter. But
it was salty. Came to our team with all this fanfare. You're supposed to be the best point guard in the league. And
paid you $100 million, and then you're going to go win a championship with another team while we're still paying you? Nah, B. I can't do it. I can't root for you, not at all. But I mean, I in all seriousness, like objectively, I think he will do well because of the reasons I said earlier. Because Dirk Nowitzki is the player that they still run through on the team. They have offensive talent. Obviously Wes Matthews coming in. He's a little bit of a wild card because you don't know what he's going to be like after the injury with Monta Ellis leaving and replacing Wes Matthews. I think Wes Matthews is more of a system guy, where Monta Ellis is more of okay, we can give you the ball and you can score. But I think Darren will do a good job being one of the cogs on that team, basically being one of the guys. You know what I mean? As opposed to you're the guy that makes $25 million. Why don't you have 20 points and 10 assists every night? You know what I mean? Because that's what we're expecting of you. Whereas now it's like, okay, give us your 15 points, your 5 assists. And then we'll get Dirk to give us 15 and 5, and then we'll get this other guy, and et cetera, and we'll win games.
Yeah, I want to know how Mavs fans really feel, though, because, he could have signed with them in 2012 when he opted to sign with the Nets for that $99 million deal. So it's like now the Mavs have to get sloppy seconds of their hometown guy after he's basically fallen off. So now you get the $5 million a year version of Darren Williams. And I'm saying this could be a good thing for the Mavs and their fans if Darren Williams has that dog in him where he is hungry right now to prove that, he hasn't fallen off. If he has some kind of pride about his hometown and playing for
the duration of Darren's,
be a good thing.
Yeah, but the duration of Darren's career, like the evidence points to that he does not have that sort of
that's what I was about.
That sort of component.
That's what the but was. Yeah,
right.
From all accounts, I hear Darren Williams is not that kind of dude. If Darren Williams can make his money, feed his family,
necessarily has
he's
to
good.
be. Right. And I mean, Darren isn't really the best teammate either. You know what I mean? He was never shy about, throwing a coach or a teammate under the bus. Obviously there was this well-reported issue with Jerry Sloan. He well-reported issue with Avery Johnson. So at this point, you're becoming a guy where it's, are you worth what we're paying you? And for the Mavericks, obviously, at $5 million, sure, here's $5 million, and we don't like you. We got 2 other point guards. We'll just bench you. We don't care. We're only paying you $5 million. Whereas on the Nets, it's sort of like you're not a max player anymore. You haven't been that guy in 4 years. So, hit the road.
All right, so we'll see what Darren does in Dallas. I know if by some miracle they end up winning another championship and he's an integral part, I know that's going to hurt your heart a little bit.
Yeah, I won't watch.
I don't think I personally don't think you have. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
I don't think so.
But we'll see.
I don't see the Mavericks. I barely see the Mavericks making the playoffs, let alone competing for a championship.
Right. So speaking earlier of big men and the type of big men that the league covets these days, we got a situation brewing here in Indiana where Larry Bird and the Pacers organization is trying to convince Paul George to move to power forward. You know, we've heard reports back and forth, but the latest I heard from Larry Bird, because people asked him, like, you know, how's your bid and trying to convince Paul to do this. And Larry Bird is basically saying, well, I don't have to convince Paul into anything. You know, if I say that's where he's going to play, that's where he's going to play. What he actually said, he said, I'm not going to get into a battle about where Paul George will play. He's a basketball player, and we can put him anywhere out there. So Bird is basically saying, look, you're going to do what we tell you to do. He also went on to say, quote, and you know Larry's talking in his old French lick, Indiana, broken English draw, he don't make the decisions around here, but I did it, and I loved it after I did it. Now, to be fair, Bird, in your wildest dreams, you were never as athletic as Paul George. And in his wildest dreams, he probably has never been as strong physically as a Larry Bird. So to compare the situation to his, I think he's a little off with that. But, Frank, can you see? Anyway, I know the league is changing, and I have to accept that as an old-school basketball lover. I know the league is changing, and everybody's going small. We're playing small ball. But can you see Paul George and his skinny, broken leg and two ass playing power forward in the NBA? And Paul George, he was becoming one of my favorite players. That's the same I said.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I want to say is if you're old school, Larry Bird is definitely old school. Like that quote is exactly what everybody knows Larry Bird for. Like he doesn't ask people to do things; he tells them. You know, I mean,
he don't make the decisions around.
Right, exactly. So that's typical Larry Bird. That being said, even in a league where the championship team was playing a small forward at the center position in Draymond Green, I couldn't remember his first name. Draymond Green playing center on a championship team. I can't imagine Paul George. I mean, he's barely a three. And to be honest, Paul George is really a shooting guard.
That was exactly, I was waiting to make that point. Like, I'd rather see Paul George at the two. He's trying to put him at the four.
Right. You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way, Mr. Bird. I mean, I know you got championships and all that, but you're going the wrong way, bro.
I think he could dominate at the two.
Then again, I mean, they lost Hibbert, they lost Scola, they lost West. I don't know who's playing the big man position for the Pacers this year, so maybe it will be Paul George, not even out of wants, but out of necessity. He might be the tallest guy in the team.
This is desperation. Like, Paul, you might not have to do it for multiple years, but you damn sure got to do it this year. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Larry Bird's going to say, all right, you don't want to play the four? You're playing center because you're the tallest guy in the team. You're all we got.
And he also went on to say, you know, he keeps comparing the situation to himself. He said, I weighed 225, and I'm still walking around. I think the size factor is overrated. Larry, come on, man. You're one of the greatest. You might be one of the top 5 players who's ever stepped foot on the court. Stop comparing yourself to every situation as if you're the norm. You are one of the league's exceptions. Like what Larry did at his, I'm not going to say his skill level because he had superior skills, but at his athleticism level, at his, Larry Bird was slow as molasses, couldn't jump 2 inches off the floor, but dominated NBA players who could jump out of the gym and do that kind of stuff. So you are an anomaly. You are not the norm. Stop comparing every situation to yourself. That's my advice.
You know what's funny is that's why
he knows that.
That's why a lot of the great players in any sport really are terrible managers or general managers, this kind of thing, because you know, like Michael Jordan, let's just say, as a coach, he's just going to be like, yeah, just, you know, do the footwork and then the fadeaway. And it's like, yo, Mike, everybody can't do that. Like, we don't got that in our game. You know what I mean? Like, I can dribble. Like, can you work with that? And, you know, like a lot of these guys don't understand the things that come natural to them they don't come natural to everybody. Like, you can't learn a lot of the things that these guys do because they're just amazing, like you said, exceptions to the rule of what an NBA player is, even at that level.
I think, Frank, that's something that happens when they get older, because when these guys like Larry and Michael, when they play ball, they like the cockiest sons of guns you've ever met, and know that people can't do what they do. But then the older you get, you want to put your old school theories on everybody, and yeah, you should be able to do that. We did that. I did that. But when you were doing it, you were crapping on everybody else because
you knew they couldn't do it.
Right. So now everybody's supposed to be able to do it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
Especially in a time where we got all the old fogies saying, man, basketball was so much better in my day. So if it was better in your day and you were dominating guys who couldn't do what you did, why do you expect these guys to be able to do it so easily? So no, I don't want, as a fan of my man PG-13, I had to throw that nickname in there because we haven't used it the whole show. My man PG-13 should not be playing the 4. He needs to be at the 3. I'd rather see him, like you said, at the 2 because I think he dominates that position. And I thought the only reason he was no longer playing the 2 is because they had Lance at the time.
Born ready.
Lance is gone. They had Born ready. He would have to play it now because they got Monte. And, you know, no matter what you think of Monte Ellis, he's a starter in this league on pretty much any team unless the team has a superstar 2 guard who can't move to the 3. So the 3 is the position that he needs to play. I mean, he at this point, looking at that team, he probably has the best handle on the team. So he could play the 1. We're moving him up, and Larry's moving him down. Like, he could play the 1. He could be a big-ass point guard, but so another situation that we have to watch. I hope they don't do that because they're going to put unnecessary wear on my man. But we did just talk about the changes in the NBA. It's not like he's going to be banging in the post with a lot of guys if he does play the 4. So, I don't know.
He's going to be playing the 4 against a small forward anyways. That's also
going to be on the perimeter
now.
Defensively and offensively, so it probably
can you defend Andre Iguodala at the 4, Paul George? Yeah, I think you can. You'll be fine.
Right. And Draymond Green at the 4, so they're about the same height. But supposed to be some changes to the NBA playoff seeding that will likely start next season. We've heard reports of this. And Adam Silver said on Wednesday that starting as early as next season, the seeding will possibly be based solely on the records of the top 8 teams in the Eastern and Western Conference. Now, a lot of people who didn't hear about these changes and they heard us introducing this, they probably were getting excited thinking, we're just going to take the top 16. Because, a lot of people don't even want there to be conferences because a lot of teams in the West miss out on the playoffs and they could damn near be like top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference. No, everybody, that's not the change, but the change is the top 8 teams in the conference, divisions, basically being a division winner is not going to mean a damn thing except for the fact that when you know your team's not good enough to win a championship, you can lean on those division banners, going down the road. Other than that, they're not going to mean anything. And an example was the fact, who was it that didn't have – Portland didn't have home court advantage against the Grizzlies because even though they had the better record, the Grizzlies won their division or something like that.
Yeah.
And they got the higher seed. Yeah.
My first thought was...
I agree that's not fair, so I welcome the change. What about you?
I mean, I welcome the change, but also what you're bringing up, Dev, is that divisions at this point seem pointless. So why not just demolish the divisions and have each conference just have an even amount of games? You can still have, I'm not sure the exact percentage, but teams play like 70% of their games in their own conference and 30% in, the Eastern Conference or whatever. If you're a Western Conference team. Why not just still have that, but then just don't have any divisions and just divide it out across the whole conference?
And I don't think it would mean anything because right now you play all of the teams in the Eastern Conference the same amount of times as you play the teams in your division, I believe, except when there's odd numbers, so there's always going to be a team or two who's the odd man out, and you might play them 3 times instead of playing them 4 times. You keep it the same way. You just have that lottery of which teams, you're not going to play the full slate of games against. And like you said, you could still have the same amount of games against the West. I don't think anything changes if you do away with divisions. I don't think anything changes except for
I mean, I think the whole
playoff seeding.
Yeah. The other thing where, you have just the best 16 teams make the playoffs, maybe I'm still a little old school. That seems like a little extreme to me. But at the same time, I think the purpose of that back in the day was because of travel. And with these days, with red eyes and all that stuff, I'm not sure that's still an issue. Or if you get on a plane at 2 a.m. and they're in the place they got to be by 6 a.m. anyways. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's still a little extreme to me. I'm not ready to go there yet.
Yeah, I definitely think you have to keep the conference scenario. but the division really doesn't mean it. And especially if you're no longer going to reward the division winners with the top 4 seeds just for being a division winner, then there really is no reason to have divisions. Unless somebody out there can think of one and call us and tell us, I can't see a reason to have divisions if they do this. But conference, yeah, you just have to find a way for the Eastern Conference to step it up so the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th teams in the West won't keep feeling like they got slighted because they play in the Western Conference. The Eastern Conference is
and I think, I honestly think really quick, I think that'll happen eventually because I think the guys in the West, when they become free agents, they're going to look at this and be like, why am I going 47 and I have 47 wins and I'm not making the playoffs when I can just go to this East team and I can have, I'll make that team better and then we could just make the playoffs and compete for a championship. Right. So I think you're going to see point, maybe like a Kevin Durant, is going to be like, I'm just going to go to the Eastern Conference. I don't care.
You see LeBron won't leave the East. Like everybody, all this Lakers speculation and where LeBron's going to go. Y'all know damn well LeBron wasn't going to leave the Eastern Conference either of those times. I mean, when you're the best player, in the league and you make any team better, it's damn near a free trip to at least the conference finals every year, year in and year out. And for him, it's been a free trip to the NBA finals because he's been there so many times. So I'd be damned if I was LeBron and I, went over there to that hard ass guy. I mean, it sounds like a punk ass thing to say, but I'll just, I'll take my chances. I'll save myself in this conference, so I'll have energy to go against those powerhouses when I get to the NBA Finals. Now, it hasn't worked out for LeBron as much as he'd like, since he's lost more finals than he's won, but he's going to keep getting shots at it. So if, at some point he's going to break through and win a couple of these things. But
yeah, you can play the Spurs and the Clippers in the first round. I'll play the Hornets. I'm good. Thanks.
Exactly. I can cruise, get healthy. Play 30 minutes a night instead of 42 minutes a night. Good. And sometimes you're playing the Sixers. I mean, the East is that bad. The Sixers have been in the 8th seed a few times in the past 6 or 7 years. And you see how we talk about the Sixers. All right, so NBA Summer League for 2 minutes before we leave. Have you been keeping up with Summer League play?
Oh, you know it. Yeah. I told you, I'll watch any ball.
Who stood up for WNBA ball?
Yeah.
Who stood out to you so far in the Summer League, and who maybe, hasn't lived up to what you think they might be able to be in the league?
The big standout, I think, anybody that's been following is Emmanuel Mudiay from the Denver Nuggets. I think Ty Lawson is definitely in trouble with his recent events, plus the performance of Mudiay. I think that is, he's a guy
Ty
that...
Lawson is giving them an excuse.
Right.
They can say, okay, we're moving on this, even though we drafted this guy before you got in trouble again, but he's still giving them an excuse.
Yeah, it's always tough because Brandon Jennings is really the example of what Emmanuel Mudiay has done. So I think the teams were hesitant because Brandon Jennings didn't really pan out too well, for a guy that went overseas for a season and then came to the draft. But Mudiay has
had his moment.
He's a good passer.
He's had his moment.
And Right. Mudiay is a good passer. He can play that pick and roll. He does all the things that, I said earlier that you need in the point guard. So I think he's definitely the standout.
I agree that Mudiay has been a standout. Of course, I'm catching the young Sixers because the Summer League team is basically the same team you're going to see during the season. So I get to watch my team during Summer League, like my real team. Jahlil Okafor, he's shown why, he was so highly touted, and he's shown young rookie mistakes. Like he's having a problem with turnovers, but he does show you that he can get the ball in the post and do work. Even though in the post he got 3 of his shots blocked by Porzingis. And in a game where
he's been good too.
They really tried to hype this up. They tried to say, Porzingis was balling, this and that, and they showed his little highlight reel. And of course, when you put a highlight reel together, you can make anybody look like they were balling. He had like 9 points and 3 blocks, and that's balling. So if I'm Porzingis, I'm a little offended that you think me balling is 9 points. But
Real quick, I'll give
Go
you
ahead,
a sleeper of a guy that's been doing well in summer league is Russ Smith, who formerly at Louisville. I mean, he hasn't blown, by any means, but I think Russ Smith is an NBA point guard. I've watched a lot of him. I believe with the Pelicans this summer league, and he's done very well. I definitely I've always liked his game, so I think he's good sleeper summer league prospect.
It's good that he's standing out to people, because there was arguments of whether or not he could translate his game to the NBA. So we'll keep an eye on that. But of course, we are out of time. So we might have to do a summer edition of Court Vision and talk about a little bit more of this stuff. But everybody, thanks for joining us again in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room on Facebook, Twitter, all the callers who chimed in to holler at us. Special thanks to the homie Frank Santos for joining me to talk this ish today, because everybody else was out of commission. So you saved us, man. So good looking out. Tune in next week, everybody. Same time, same place, live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network. And we are on TuneIn Radio now. So check out the War Room on TuneIn if you have that app, or if you just go to that site every day. We'll be talking more summertime NBA. NFL training camps are about to get underway soon, and whatever else is happening in the week of sports. So until then, enjoy your week. We'll see you right back here next time. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our blogs, webcasts, and network podcasts on WarRoomSports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance. We'll see you chumps on top. No doubt.
Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy, know the blueprint. Yo, every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip-hop scholars, pit stop for knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sports cast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm chopped. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.